Hi, my name is Clinton and I am a Novakid teacher. You are watching the first episode of Novakiders Be Like. Let's get started. I am from Cape Town, South Africa. Something interesting about South Africa, we've got the Indian Ocean as well as the Atlantic Ocean. I dare you to take a swim in the Atlantic Ocean. Well, my ESL journey started many years ago. I had a friend and I saw he was teaching in Bangkok. And I was like, okay, Thailand sounds interesting. First I had to go to the world map and find Thailand. Once I found it, I then messaged him like, hey, how's it going? I saw that you're in Thailand. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, so what are you doing? And he's like, I'm teaching English. He's like, how about you come to Thailand? And I gave it a thought. After doing some research, I was like, okay, let's go to Thailand. 4 weeks later, I was teaching in a Catholic school just outside of Bangkok. I taught there for about 3 years and then I left Bangkok to go to the south. Beautiful beaches, waterfalls, living the life. After year of teaching over there, I decided it's time to leave and I moved back to Bangkok. Once I got to Bangkok, I landed a really nice teaching job at a very exclusive all-girls school in Bangkok. And I taught there for about 6 years, and after 6 years, I thought I had enough of classroom teaching and decided to go online full-time. My dream job, I guess, was to be a policeman or a fireman. Like any other young boy, I guess I wanted to be a superhero as well, you know, like a Power Ranger or something. That didn't work out very well for me. Thinking back, like if I thought back then that I'll become a teacher, no way. Even when we played like school with my cousins or my friends, I was never the teacher. I wonder why. Well, I saw this ad on like a freelancer website and it was something like looking for online ESL teachers, and well, I opened the ad and I decided, oh, let's give it a go, and I messaged them, right? About 40 minutes later, I think, I got a message back, and I was a lady called Amy, and she was like, she saw my resume and they do have positions available. So I'm like, okay, cool. And I was like, so when can I interview? And she's like, when are you free? I was like, I'll be free in 2 hours time. I literally rushed home from school and jumped straight into the interview. Being the organized teacher I am, I had zero props for the demo lesson. Then we started chatting, and then she's like, okay, it's time for your demo lesson. I remember she asked me to explain their E's and their R, right? And I started off by like just using my fingers, you know, or like hiding them and that type of thing. And then suddenly I looked down and said, wow, I got 2 pencils. And then I just grabbed the 2 pencils and I used them to do that. And at the end, she's like, okay, Clinton, you got a really cool personality. Usually that means you don't get the job. Anyway, and she was like, I'll get back to you in like an hour or so. I was like, this is an hour and a half. Like 2 hours later, she messages me and she's like, okay, Clinton, you got the job. I'll send you your contract and your offer and all that. And you start in 2 days, basically, after I signed the contract. And then, yeah, my first lesson was a 10-year-old girl. I remember her name. Let's call her Matty. So back then we could actually see the student before the class started, and I saw Matty sitting there. She was just as nervous as I was. And anyway, long story short, I started the class and I'm like, hey, my name's Clinton. And she's like, she just got like stage fright and she froze. And I was like, oh, I'm looking, what can I do? What can I do? And just behind us, saw a Teletubby. I'm like, hey, Teletubbies! I love Teletubbies. And boom, she smiled. And then I was like, hey, what is your name? And she replied. And then we started going, and we just had so much fun. So yeah, that's how my journey at Novakid started. It was, yeah, very interesting but fun. That's why I'm still here. Oh, I think most of you will be shocked because this is a crazy amount of classes. I think I taught 24 classes in one day, and there were 24 back-to-back classes. But this is way back when I was really crazy and had so much energy. But yeah, things have changed quite a bit. So I don't think I'll be crazy enough to do 24 classes again. But yeah, that was challenging. I'm a firm believer in getting confidence up, and it's really nice to see like a shy student just grow and become more confident. It's like something just awakens in them, right? So one day you're like, yo, or not yo, I'm just kidding, but you go like, hey James, how you doing? He's like, yo, what's up teacher? And suddenly something clicked. He's confident. The kid is just answering, and both of you are enjoying it. So that really gets me going, is once you see how a shy student becomes really, really confident and he starts to trust himself. And then another thing is when they start self-correcting, my word, you're like, yes. So that's when you know, or when I feel I've done my job really, really well, when a student self-corrects. So I've loads of sweet moments, but I have like this one, like, you know, a punch in the chest moment, chopping onions moment, whatever you want to call it. There's this kid in Poland. He's about 10 years old. He's really smart. He loves space and he loves ships, and he's just really smart. He's intelligent. We get along really, really well. So what happened, it was my birthday. I think it was last year was my birthday. Of course, every year is my birthday, but last year's birthday. I started the class, and it's like, Clinton, I have a surprise for you. And he literally wrote 10 things I like about Clinton, like in a poem style. And like, I'm actually a very emotional person, and I think I kind of have my heart on my sleeve many of the times. And I call it my chopping onion moment, sorry. But anyway, so he read these 10 things to me, and I just sat there, you know, like my mouth is all dry. I was very choked up, and my eyes all watery, of course, because someone was chopping onions close by. And that, I thought, was the sweetest moment. And then I actually returned the favor the following lesson, and I wrote 8 things I like about Adam. That's not where the story ends though. So the next lesson, I actually saw A again, and he took those things I wrote about him, because I actually wrote it in the feedback. And he took those things, and his mom framed it. It's next to his bed, and every time I log in, it's right there. I can see it. That for me was the sweetest thing ever. Russian students, I love that they really love to show off their holidays, and you know, and they always find like icicles for me, because they think the country I live in is like an oven. Polish students, I love that they are obsessed with football. So that's something I can relate to. Like, all the boys are obsessed with football in Poland, or my students are. Turkish students, I love their sense of humor, because we have like similar sense of humors. And Yeah, we just really get along, and we laugh at the same types of things. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, like I said, it's not really about like teaching a specific region. I just love certain things from each region. I think I had another one. I had dress, Polish. The Polish dress always gets me. It's like basically dress in Polish means like, I think, sweatpants or tracksuit or something like that. So usually when you teach like Polish kids and they start to go over clothes and things, and you go like dress, and some of them would just circle like the trousers or the jeans or something, and that cracks me up every time. So that's one of the things that I think is really funny when teaching Polish kids. A tricky situation would also be, I think, when we teach some kids from Israel. So especially when you're teaching food, some of them, quite a few of my students are Jewish, so I try not to like offend them when they go like, when you have cheese or meat, and they'll go, yes I do, and then they'd always go, it's kosher. If it's kosher, we'll have it. So it's always important to remember the cultural aspect of them and kind of respect it in a way. So that's tricky. Try and find out. Usually they'll tell you that they are Jewish, so you have to, small little things, little things, just watch out for that. Instead of like, do you eat bacon and eggs? Yeah, so so kind of like, just be aware where your student's from, and if they do tell you, don't necessarily need to ask them their religion, but usually they'll tell you when you get to the food lesson that they are Jewish. So yeah, that's a few of my situations I've been in. I think when most kids don't want to study, let's be honest, right? So in general, many kids don't want to study, but of course, when they come to Novakid, they want to study all the time. But they do have off days. So usually when a kid doesn't want to study, there's a reason behind it, right? Either they're tired, they had a long day, or they just like, they're not in the mood today. So I think it's a good way to kind of get to know their routines in a way, so that you know which days you can do which things. So like, I know James wakes up early, he goes to sports practice before school, and after sports practice he goes to school. Once he's done with school, he goes to sports practice again, and then he has free time to play some football or play PlayStation, and then he goes to sports practice again. Directly after sports practice, he comes to his Novakid lesson. So on Tuesdays, I know that I can't really push James too much, so we'll play a little game to start off with, and I know that James loves football and he collects football cards, so I'll usually chat to him about his new football cards, what level the card is and things like that, just just to activate some language, and he'll obviously chat back because he wants to brag about his football cards. And then I call it the bargaining process. So then you can bargain with James for a little bit. James, after every 3 slides, you can show me 1 card, and James will obviously take the deal because he gets to brag about his card. So that's something I do. And then when a kid cries, it's a little different, I think. So you need to be sympathetic in a way, and kind of try and distract him and move him away from crying. So you can open like, what I do is I open the blank slide, I draw a heart with a smiley face, and they usually draw an angry face over my smiley face. So, but yeah, just be sympathetic when they cry. Try and distract them with a toy or something, or Lego. Kids love Lego, so you can always use one of those things. And then when a kid has toys, I call it my disappearing toy trick. So you can one of the options, you can use the toy and get get him to move with it. For example, like prepositions, put your Pikachu on your head, Pikachu next to your ears, something like that. You can use that, or you can play the toy race game. So if, for example, if he has 3 toys, on his desk, and you can hear clink, 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 you'll be like, okay, this is a race. See how fast you can put your toys in your box. So 3, 2, 1, go. And you count down 5, 4, 3, and he puts it back. Okay, toy number 2, 3, 2, 1, go. Boom. Oh, and James wins. Yeah. So believe me, his mom and dad will thank you, because he's kind of picking up his toys without him actually realizing. Obviously, you need to take age into consideration when doing this, but those are my top 3, and the disappearing toy act usually works pretty well. Ooh, I've not had a sleeper yet, and I don't want to join the sleeper club as well. So let's hope for many sleeper free lessons. I don't think us as teachers have the right to dislike a student. We might not agree with a student, but I don't think we have the right to dislike a student. I think you also need to find out the backstory, especially if a kid's behavior has changed. Like in my experience, there's always been a few factors. Change of school, change of friends, move to a new house, loss in the family, so things like that. Like, just to give you a small example, I had a girl last year, December. She's been with me for almost 2 years, and she's a hard-working student, but she's also a very busy student. So suddenly she just became very very busy, and she became really rude to a certain extent. And what I did was I sent numerous messages to intercom, and we liaised for a few days, and we found out that she lost both of her grandparents in a short period of time. And so obviously that kind of changed her ways of thinking, and she moved to a new house, she moved to a new school, and so I was a little more sympathetic with her. And then she started to come out of her shell, because then I was like, how's your new school? And boom, immediately I showed interest. I was like, oh, you're in a new room. So immediately she was like, wow, okay, he noticed things. And then she started opening up, and things got better gradually. So I also believe is that every lesson is a clean slate. You have to start over every lesson. So if you're gonna hold a grudge against a little 10-year-old kid from last week's lesson, you're not gonna move forward, right? So and kids feel negative vibes all the time. If you're negative, they're just gonna feel it, and they're gonna feed off it. So I think just start off every lesson on a clean slate. Oh yes, I've experienced burnout, like very bad burnout. What happened was, when I started at Novakid, like I said earlier, I worked at a school, and I'd come teach after school. I teach at Novakid. So the awesome teacher I am, no, I'm just kidding. I actually started building up a really big client base, and I had word of mouth. So parents would start recommending me, and people would start asking for me at Novakid, or family members, cousins and things like that. And I'd be asked to open more slots, or can I open more slots on these days, that type of things. And eventually what would happen is I would finish work at 3 a.m. take me an hour to get home at about 4 p.m. So I'd start work at 5 p.m. and I'd work till about 1 a.m. Don't worry, there are breaks between classes. And yeah, I was knackered. So I would basically finish work at 1 a.m. and I would write the feedbacks as much as I can till about 2 a.m. Then I'd go to bed and I'd be up at 5 a.m. Getting ready for work the next day. I'd done that for 2.5 years until I decided enough, and I left my school and I started working at Novakid full-time. I'm not saying that you should do that, but that was my solution to my problem, and lucky enough it worked out for me. But I think it's always good to, you know, have some time for yourself, or alone time. You know, getting out of your city, getting out of your country if you can, and traveling, relaxing, turning off your phone, that type of thing. So I have a holiday in October where I actually just shut down my Skype. I don't log into Novakid for 5 days or 7 days because I'm on holiday. So I think that really helps me a lot, and we try to get away at least 2 to 3 times a year, about 5 to 7 days each time. So I hope that helps you. Yeah, because burnout, yeah, like I said, I was dead on my feet for 2.5 years. Oh, I would say Monique. Monique is definitely inspiring, and she's very helpful. Like, you know, like us older, not older teachers, let's say teachers with a bit more of experience, right? More experienced teachers. We all have this little chip on our shoulder that we're the best teachers. And I'm not saying all of us, but many of us have like little chip on their shoulders that we're the best teachers. I call it golfer syndrome. Every golfer is the best, right? And I think it's similar to ESL teachers. But with Monique, there's always something different. She always shows you another angle of looking at something, or when I need advice, I'd always reach out to her. And I think we've become really close in a way that I can also share personal things with her or ask her personal questions, and she's always willing to help. So I think she's probably a big mentor and inspiration to me. Definitely a month without food. Like coffee is my happy place. Like, everybody knows that. My mom, my dad, my missus. Like, if I'm at the golf, even if it's just at the driving ranges, it's just my happy place. So yeah, can definitely live without food, but without golf, probably not. I love the Novakid songs, but I'm not sure if the kids love my singing though. I do love their singing. It's really cool, and it kind of activates, you know, English before we get started, basically. And I've also tried to rap some of those songs, which is hilarious. And my kids absolutely burst into tears of joy when they hear me rapping. So yeah, Novakid songs are amazing. As long as you can sing really well. No, I'm just kidding. Kids love it. There's no other way around it. Like, and I love hearing them sing it. And if you can add a dance, it's even better. Definitely Astro, not because he's a boy, because I am a dog person through and through. I'm not a big fan of cats. I don't dislike them. I like other people's cats. I just don't want to own my own cat. But I'm definitely a big dog person. Any more questions, guys? If you have any more questions, please drop them in the comment section below. See you soon. Bye bye for now.